On the TV series Frasier, on the episode of Bad Dog, the portrait of an active shooter is painted. This would include a plaid shirt, ball cap, jeans, and a revolver. On the episode, a gunman enters the Cafe Nervosa. He is conspicuously holding the gun in the front of his trousers, presenting an obvious image to which the character Frasier screams, "He's got a gun," and sets the whole place in panic. However, television is used in other ways to regulate behavior. In an article written by The Atlantic, the first use of "to Google" as a verb on television was accredited to Buffy the Vampire Slayer TV series, which was mostly directed towards teenagers. In the TV show, there is an episode where a character is looking for something, and instead of going to the library, they're directed to Google, a search engine. In The Graves of Academe, written by Richard Mitchell, on page 41, a person can find an example of the use of the rhetorical device of a reasonable person. Quote, "Every reasonable person concedes that we can't hold the parent accountable for the color of a child's hair, that we can't rate the minister by the number of parishioners who break the commandments, and that we can't blame the coach when a linebacker misses a tackle. Most people also concede that we can't judge teachers by the scores their students make on tests, especially on tests approved by some state office in Trenton that does not mesh with the local curriculum. Students should be evaluated by a variety of relevant measures, and so should teachers." End quote. Of course, in this context, a reasonable person does not hold teachers accountable. Now, a different rhetorical device can be found in a Wikipedia discussion over an article that was deleted by a content moderator going by the name of Alfonso Green. This particular article pertains to a genome wager between Lewis Wolpert and Rupert Sheldrake over a case of port wine. In the reason for the removal of the Wikipedia article, the content moderator cites that a near universal opinion was given and that only an extreme minority would believe that the debate is notable. Of course, this shows the author's bias, but most importantly, it shows the rhetorical use of near universal opinion, suggesting that anyone of a different perspective is in a minority and that that is a bad thing. Now, an example of the rhetorical device of a reasonable person can be found in an expulsion letter that I received from the Grand Canyon University's Office of Academic Compliance and Code of Conduct, which clearly lacks a personal signature and is only referred to as a committee's decision. The charge levied is, quote, "behaving or acting in a manner which carries the potential for violence or acts of aggression as interpreted by a reasonable person." Now let us ascertain what is the definition of their reasonable person. According to them, a reasonable person will feel threatened by figurative language, and their reasonable person will attempt to target those that hold a different perspective. Now, as if the lack of personal signature isn't enough to cover the actions of these reasonable people, when one looks at the incorporation documents of this entity, one will find a maze of various holding companies dispersed throughout states and cities, making it nearly impossible to take any one individual entity to court, or any person for that matter. Thus, they have successfully established the definition of the reasonable person that we found in the Graves of Academe, meaning no oversight and no accountability. And it is very telling in this age that this particular institution, and many like it, are still accredited to receive funding from the federal government and are subsidized by tax dollars.